item scheduled in. So I think the current time is about 12 minutes after 7. I'd like to get started with the regular council meeting for Tuesday, November the 7th. Before I get started, the Village of Anmore would like to open our meetings by recognizing the many Indigenous peoples of our area, including the following First Nations with communities that are located in the region that we now know as Metro Vancouver. They would be the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coquitlam. Further, we'd like to honor the important place in history occupied by the many territorial keepers of these lands and waters around us since time immemorial. Call the meeting to order. With the agenda, there is a spelling mistake, so and that is on page 2, and it should, where it says Celia Zhang, it should be Celia Chang. And so with that amendment going forward, could I get someone to approve the agenda as amended? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Public input. Public was encouraged, Council welcomes the participant public to portion of the meeting. And it's related to any item on the agenda. Anybody like to come forward for public input? No. Okay, we'll move on to delegations. Delegations A, Ugly Christmas Sweater Dash. Colleen Geddes and Jordan Birch provide information on the 2023 Ugly Christmas Sweater Dash event. Welcome.
Raid your closet or a local thrift shop for the tackiest, itchiest, ugliest Christmas sweater you can find. Pair them with spandex and get ready for the most fun you can have with your knitwear on. Good evening, Mayor and Council and Village staff. I'm here tonight to share my event once again that brings warmth, joy, and a bit of wacky, woolly, and whimsy to our holiday season. The 10th annual Ugly Christmas Sweater Dash. Yet first, in the spirit of gratitude, my operations team and I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to all of you, including village staff, for assisting us in our inaugural year in Anmore in 2022. Your efforts were instrumental in producing a logistically sound and safe experience. I commend you, Council, for your unwavering commitment in our collaboration and the rest of the responsible and forward-thinking you are applying to community building here in Anmore. So thank you. On Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, just over 3 weeks away, staged at Anmore Elementary right here in the parking lot, we will once again kick off the holiday season. In the spirit of spreading even more community engagement, culture, and inclusivity to our residents and neighboring communities and friends, we are expected to sell out at 400 registrants, which is 150 more than last year. We'll see runners, walkers, rollers, strollers, and furry friends too. I am here to ask for your continued support to embrace this unique and festive event. A few key reasons among many why this event deserves your support. Number one, community building. The Ugly Dash provides an opportunity for our residents to come together, share a laugh, and create lasting memories. We have many participants that have come 10 years in a row. Now that's a tradition. Number two, health and wellness. Physical fitness and body movement is a critical aspect of our well-being, and the Ugly Dash encourages physical activity during a season when many of us are tempted to isolate and stay indoors. Number three, supporting local businesses. This one I'm excited about this year because we've actually got 4 new businesses that are participating in our festival site that just opened this year. So we support those businesses by having them on site. We contribute to economic activity for those businesses, and we're also supporting other local associations, including many of the most historic and prominent community groups based in Anmore, such as the Volunteer Fire Association, which a few key members are providing first aid. The First Anmore Scouts, who are attending all 3 sections, Beavers, Cubs, and Scouts. The Anmore Elementary Student Body, who is registered a school team, and the Parent Advisory Committee of the elementary school as well. Beyond our borders, we've got a number of Port Moody businesses, including several breweries from Brewers Row, the Port Moody Police Volunteer Traffic Management Crew, and of course, the 2 constables that represent the RCMP Coquitlam Rural Detachment. Number 4, and final reason to support our event, charitable giving. So every year, the Ugly Dash supports a charitable cause. This year, partial proceeds will be going to the Anmore PAC. The student body has spoken, and with the funds, they want to buy a very unique gift for the student body or tool, and that's a new curling set for the school gym. So I guess we'll just have to see what that is. Apparently, that's one of the most popular activities for the kids, is an indoor curling set that they usually rent and spend a lot of money on to rent. So the kids ask for that. So we're going to give it to them. So let's get down to details. To make this event even more successful, we would like the continued support of the council and the staff in these specific ways. And I would just like to reiterate that this is just the same ask as last year. So I did want to eliminate one thing off the bat as well, which was waive the permit fee for Spirit Park, because this is no longer applicable due to the progress of construction. We were once going to be staged in the parking lot and the parking lot only. And just from an operational standpoint, given that it's just too close to the event, we don't want to be planning 2 events, because that's what it actually turns out to be for us as a production team. And we need to make the call, and we're going to be hosting the event right behind us here in the roundabout, and guests will be parking in the gravel parking lot. We're very familiar with that, we're happy, and next year we look forward to kicking it off at the hub when it's ready. So waiving the permit fee is no longer applicable. Let's go to the ask. Provide a letter of support for our liquor license application. A big one is Public Works help. Again, they were instrumental in supplying and placing safety cones and barricades at key areas along our route. We meet with them a few times, and Ms. Elric as well, on terms of how to make the route as safe as possible for everybody. We asked that you could lend us the 2 that we know of, which are the Village of Anmore branded tents to house our gear and or people, volunteers, to keep us dry in the event that it is wet, and to add a bit of I guess, appearance that Village of Anmore is participating and present at the event as well. So we'd love to borrow those 2 at the festival site. And then just in creating awareness, making sure people know, because it's a busy time of year, that they are welcome to come and how to get involved, either as a registrant or a volunteer or a spectator. We'd ask that you display the event title, the date, and the website on the community signboards, the 2 that we know about, and if possible, dedicate a social media post and an e-blast to kind of what's happening, current events in Anmore. And of course, as always, I would love to invite all of staff to come run, walk, roll, or stroll, council and mayor. And we do hand out a few awards, so we would welcome you to come up to the stage and help us give out those awards. So that's it. Thank you for your consideration in allocating your very limited resources to the Dash. On behalf of my operations team at Grace Choi Events and all my participants, we are truly grateful and salute you all, the ultimate community builders.
Thank you so much, Jordan. A couple things I just wanted to mention. Yeah, and you know, I know when you brought this up previously, we talked about the Village Hub, and I'm glad you've moved it, because it's still a work zone, and it will be right up until this point. And we haven't been able to do anything as of yet in regards to grading out the upper portion of that to get, to get some adequate drainage. I know what it was like up there last year, and it got very muddy as the day went on. But what a great atmosphere! I was so honored to be part of the hosting ceremonies. I've been, I think, to every one of them when they were in Port Moody, and it's such a great event. Unfortunately, this year I won't be able to be traveling on that day, so I won't be able to make it. And I know Councillor Weberink, I think, is hopefully he'll step in. He was there with me last year, and that, so anything that, yeah, and that, so it's a great event. I couldn't believe after it happened last year, the amount of residents coming up and hearing some of the participation that went with it. It was really a special event, and we had so hoped to be tying this in with the Village Hub being open, having an event in our grand foyer, being able to really get involved in this, because it is a really big community thing. But unfortunately, I'll get to that later regarding the hub, but I thank you for the work that you do. I was blown away last year when I was there, and the amount of people and the amount of the community that came out to it. So I'm glad it's expanding, and I really want to keep this as Anmore's own. So the asks that you have are very minimal in regards to things. The only thing that I would say is that there may be a little bit of issue with the signboards, and that is because we are going to be, we have on books a meeting on Tuesday the 5th, our last meeting of the year, and we may be using the signboards to promote that meeting as well, because it'll have a significance to it as well. So we can't guarantee you that now, but I'll leave that up to Ms. Elrick and you to decide. But again, thank you, you and your team, for all that you've done. It's a great event. I hope many more people get out and just cheer people on. It's a lot of fun. So do we need a resolution to waive those or to get Public Works participation? And that's really about, and also a letter of authorization or a letter of reference for the liquor?
Sure. If council would like to make a recommendation that council provide a letter of support for application for the liquor license for the Ugly Sweater event, and provide in-kind support in terms of Public Works, helping with cones, barricades, and tents, and promotion of the event on our various social media and email notification.
Good.
That would be appropriate.
Could I get someone to move that? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? See none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on now to the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 3rd. The recommendation would read
that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 3rd, 2023 be adopted as circulated.
Someone to move those minutes? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? See none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Is there any business arising from the minutes? No? Okay. Rolling right around, we have a consent agenda, which basically has just the committee appointments. So could I get someone to move that the 2020, or we have A, B, and C. I don't see B. Where is B?
B is on page 4.
Page 4. Oh, okay, A and B. Okay, so could I get someone to move the consent agenda? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay. Okay, we're now on to 8 items removed from the so we're on to 9 legislative reports. 68 Elementary Road Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 655-2023. Mr. Boyd. Yeah.
Because this looks like this property is classified property, I have to excuse myself.
Okay.
But I just wanted to ask you a question. We're giving this first reading. We've already looked at this.
This is last fourth reading.
Oh, this is fourth reading?
Yeah. This is adoption. Okay. On the grounds that this is a neighboring property. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Worship. So this is for final adoption of zoning bylaw 665-2023, which is... I will start again. Thank you, Your Worship. This is for the adoption of bylaw 665-2023, 68 elementary zoning. This is to remove the parcel of land from RS1 to infill zone. So this is for adoption. I just want to provide a little bit of clarity on, there's been a few questions regarding, was there a change to the FAR to this zone? And the answer to it is no. What the request was in the original report from January was there was a mistake within the zoning bylaw of an example of the of how to work out the FAR, and so it's a clarification just to update that. Instead of it says 100, it should have been 60. So that's why that little section is within that zone.
Okay. Okay. Could I get someone to move adoption? Moved, seconded. So I can open up for discussion. Councillor Richardson.
Just for, like, we did like 5 of these things at the same time. Why is this one so far behind the other ones? Is that just they didn't contribute?
Believe it or not, this is the first one out of that 5.
Oh.
Yeah. So to answer Councillor Richardson's question, the reason that we've kind of gone down this route compared to in the past is that what we found in the previous infill applications was subdivision always takes a lot longer than people expect to get all the paperwork together and the legal documents together. And so what we try to do is to get the proponents ready and the subdivision ready for sign-off, and then ask for adoption prior to them submitting it, to try and keep, perfectly frank, the CACs with the proponent until they're ready to create subdivision. So this is the first out of those, I think it was roughly 4 or 5 that came forward back in January.
And previously as well, last year we had we had clustered a bunch of them together, and what happened was that one wasn't ready to go, and it held the other ones up as well. So, any other questions, comments? Okay, see none. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Paul. Okay, I'll move
I can
on.
hear my name, but I can't hear what you're saying.
I was just confirming that you could hear us and that we were receiving your vote.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to 11A, new business, award of Heron Drive PRV station, a report dated November 3rd, 2023, from our Chief Administrative Officer. Ms. Elric.
Thank you. So back in October, the village issued a tender out for our second PRV station that was budgeted in the 2023 to 2027 5-year financial plan. 2 tenders were received, and the tender that we are looking to council to award tonight is the lower one. So the recommendation is that council approve the award of the contract of the Heron Way PRV station for a total contract price of $521,325, including GST, to Drake Excavation.
Okay, could I get someone to move that recommendation? Moved, seconded. I'll open up for discussion. Councilor Weber.
Just a couple of questions. How many residents does that PRV station serve? How many houses? You know, I can start. I'll ask that question again. How many properties does that PRV station serve? Or maybe, Mr. Boyd, you could describe the system? Is there a pipe that goes straight up the hill and then it sort of runs down, hits the PRV to reduce in pressure?
Yeah, so it's a great question. It's not an easy one to answer, but I'll try and answer it. Is that our water main system is looped, which means that you can receive water from either side. But on this particular PRV, the way that the system works is that we draw water up from the Uplands pump station,
Right.
which is distributed to the top up to Black Bear. And as you pump it up to the top, if no one's drawing water, it has the potential to come back down the hill, which then it comes back down the hill. You know, very frank, when someone set up the system originally, they didn't think about it back watering down Heron into countryside.
Okay.
And so basically it's to reduce the pressure as it enters into countryside. Because right now, what we've, to be frank, realized is when the fire pumps go on, you know, every so often, that the pressure increases drastically at the bottom of the hill, and it needs to be reduced. So that's
Right,
why,
okay. So it's probably not a fair question the way I asked it.
It is. I would say directly downhill from it, it's about 5 or 6 houses, but then it goes into countryside, which, sorry, I forget the exact
Okay.
number in countryside.
I mean, and how old is this PRV station? As old as
We don't have one there right now.
Oh, this is going to be added.
Yeah.
I see, okay. So, and what's the service life of a PRV?
So the structure itself will be around the 50-year mark. The valves inside are typically, you know, depend on servicing around 25 to 30 years.
Okay, so this is not something we're replacing after 15 years?
No.
Okay. But I think it just speaks to the, you know, inefficiency of low density on a hillside. You know, I mean, we heard in the financial sustainability report that the infrastructure replacement cost could be up to 5 times compared to the rest of the village. So I really think we have to consider this kind of thing in future developments, particularly the east side. Okay, thanks.
Just to put things in perspective for those people listening, a PRV is it's exactly what we have at the Thompson and Sunnyside that took a while to go in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Is it going to be a similar size?
Yeah, almost identical.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So people can just put it in perspective and
Yep.
that. So, any other questions, comments? Okay, see none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Now we have 11B, the COVID-19 Restart Grant and BC Growing Communities Fund, request for allocation. A report dated November 3rd, 2023 from our Chief Administrative Officer. Ms. Elright.
Thank you. So back in 2020, when the COVID Restart Grant was awarded to the village and other communities in BC, funds were left unallocated to allow staff to identify areas of the Anmore Community Hub project, as this was a priority project for council, that would be suitable to use some of this grant funding. So to date, $461,136 remains unallocated from the $882,000 grant. So at this time, staff is seeking direction on whether council would wish to allocate funds to the Anmore Community Hub project. And some of the things that the fund allocation would go towards related to the COVID grant would be upgrades to fixtures and fittings for touchless operations, washrooms, doors, those types of things, mechanical plumbing upgrades to achieve flow rates, automatic door openings, and upgrades to the AV equipment that we are considering enhanced equipment in light of COVID and how we're running meetings these days. And as well, some interior design work and redesign of the space and furniture considerations for separation and safety of staff. So those are the things related to the COVID grant. And then additionally, there was $150,000 remaining unallocated from the BC Growing Communities Fund grant, and that's the $1.73 million grant that was received earlier this year, and council allocated to various projects. The Ma Murray Lane project was an approved project from council for $350,000. There has been some additional costs identified with this project in terms of some BC Hydro delays, installation of underground utilities, and some construction delays, which caused some cost from the general contractor in terms of overhead and bonding. So council may allocate funds from that funding source as well, should they wish. So the recommendation this evening would be that council allocate $461,136 from the COVID-19 Restart Grant to the Anmore Community Hub project, and that council allocate the amount of $150,000 from the BC Growing Communities Fund to the Ma Murray Lane project.
Could I get someone to move that? Moved, seconded, open up for discussion. Councillor Weber.
Just quick question. This would be upgrades to fixtures, plumbing fixtures and stuff. So we're going to be pulling our new plumbing fixtures out, or have we got an opportunity to put these in place? And also, I guess, with regards to the door, like automatic door openings. So that's kind of like the time is now to get this?
Yeah, totally. It's sorry, I assume it's directed to me. Yeah, the answer is the opportunity is now to do this. Otherwise, it's also a way of moving some of the costs away from the village coffers as well into the COVID grant. That kind of way I would describe it is that, say a fixture is $100 that we needed to buy, which comes directly out of our,
right, that's what I'm getting at.
Taxes, whereas we can use the grant fund. The item might cost $125, but it's $125 that isn't tax dollars. So that makes sense. Right.
So will this reduce the cost of the village hall a little bit?
I would say yes and no, because we're getting a better product in replace of it as well.
For the most part, these are upgrades.
Yeah, these are all upgrades.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Councillor Richardson.
So when you upgrade and add stuff, there's always a maintenance repair kind of part that goes with it. Like I have a car that you roll the windows manually because they never fail the electric motors. So does this add maintenance cost and such things moving forward?
I can't say I'm a mechanical engineer, but what I would say is not really. A lot of the mechanisms within them are pretty straightforward and simple. It's like an actuated motor within them, and if it did fail, it would be a replacement of an actuated motor, which would be off the shelf, pull it off and put it back on. So I don't, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you a lifespan is 15 against 20. The way that I understand it there isn't much more increase in the maintenance cost there. Other than, I suppose one thing you could say is operationally, they do take a tiny bit of electricity compared to a mechanical, your touch takes no electricity.
And I think as well, it increases the accessibility of the building.
Yes.
Which I think is a key thing, especially with the power doors and that, which, you know, is going to be very important for residents as, you know, as we all get older. I'm just going to,
Oh, sorry, I was just going to answer, if I may.
You are the professional.
Okay, in my experience, you will save water with the touchless faucets. You're not going to get kids leaving the water running.
Sorry, Councillor Richardson, is that good, or? Oh, okay. Oh, Councillor Cryer.
Thank you. Just further to the accessibility, I think that will probably go towards the age-friendly initiative that we've been working on and have been speaking about as we move into the hub. Perfect, thanks.
Good, okay. See no further questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Yes.
Okay, we'll now move on to 11C, the 2024 council calendar and council appointments. I just wanted to ask on this, Ms. Elrick, the appointments for the Saskatchewan Volunteer Fire Department are a yearly appointment, and I just wondered why they're not on here as well.
Through the mayor, those appointments do need to be made by the end of January, so we typically put it on either the last of the year or the first meeting of January.
Perfect. Okay. So, go ahead. Oh, Michelle. Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. So pursuant to Section 127 of the Community Charter, council must make available to the public a schedule of the date, time, and place of the regular council meetings once a year. The schedule that's attached has had a couple adjustments made from the regular Anmore procedure bylaw, in that there's been a change in January, taking into consideration the holiday closure for the month of September to accommodate the UBCM conference, and one meeting in the December, which leaves council the flexibility to schedule a second special if needed. And council must also choose from its members to designate councillors to serve on a rotating basis in the case that the mayor is not available. So the recommendation reads approval of the 2024 council calendar as attached to the report dated November 3rd, 2023 from the Manager of Corporate Services, and approve the following acting mayor schedule for 2024. November, December, January, Councillor Creer. February, March, April, Councillor Richardson. May, June, July, Councillor Trowbridge. August, September, October, Councillor Weberink.
Good. Could I get someone to move that recommendation? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? See none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Yes.
We'll now move on to number 12, items of committee of the whole, committees and that. So I just wanted to bring this forward. We had was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had a committee of the whole meeting here, and it was actually a real robust discussion regarding coach houses and secondary suites. There was a motion that was moved about that the committee recommend to council that staff be directed to amend the zoning bylaw in accordance with recommendations provided to the committee of the whole meeting, zoning bylaw update, coach house report from the Manager of Development Services. That was carried unanimously from our committee of the whole meeting. I guess on this, what I was thinking would be appropriate at this point in time is that we now refer this conversation to the APC in January, the newly formed APC. So I think if we could pass that, just give direction to staff that we send that out, and it would be a good opportunity for the APC to venture into this discussion as well and follow up. That'll be, and it also be a good opportunity to get the APC together for the first time and get a chair board appointed and stuff like that. So do we need to make a motion on that, Ms. Elrick, or?
Well, council could certainly ratify the recommendation from the committee of whole with an addition for that referral.
Okay.
So council, the recommendation would then be that council direct staff to amend the zoning bylaw in accordance with the recommendations provided during the committee of the whole meeting, zoning bylaw update, coach house report from the Manager of Development Services dated October 20th, 2023, and that council refer the coach house report to the APC for comment.
I'm just wondering, by following the language that you set out, you're directing staff to go directly towards amending it to what the discussion was. We should wait till we follow up with this discussion from the APC before moving that forward.
Sure, if council wishes to just refer the Coach House report to APC,
Yeah, at
that
this
would be
point-
appropriate.
At this point, yeah. Okay,
Sure,
okay.
yeah.
Could I get someone to move that referral? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? Councillor Richardson.
I have a concern from the committee of the whole in this recommendation moving forward. Specifically, it was stated. I have some concerns from the committee of the whole in this recommendation, because it was specifically stated that the committee of the whole meeting was strictly about coach house sizing and not about density. So it specifically said not about density. This thing outlays density moving forward. And I'm quite in favor of the coach house changes. I think there has to be more discussion on the density changes, like who gets suites, who gets coach houses, what size lots, etc. And most of the committee of the whole recommendation is, okay, can you fit a coach house on this property? What does it look like? What's the required fire separation? How does the fire department come in? There are lots that could accommodate a coach house under those guidelines, and this thing here already says, no, you can't have them. And I thought that was a bit strange, and some of the reasons were just like, well, council made a previous decision. But every change here is a previous decision of council being changed. So it doesn't really hold water for me. I don't know what the solution is, but I think those two things should be separated. How big can a coach house be? Who can have it? Where can they have it? And then who gets to have one moving forward? Because even if you read through it now, you know, infill can have it according to this, but if you read the infill bylaw, they can't because of the size of the lot required. So it doesn't make complete sense to me, and I don't know how to solve that.
Mr. Boyd, or do you want to, or Ms. Auer? Before.
I suppose my response to it would be, this is currently a staff report and hasn't been drafted into a bylaw. So when we introduce it into a bylaw, the discussions can take place at council regarding those density zoning requirements, because that's then appropriate. It'll be on the table for discussion. Perhaps that is how I would answer that.
Okay, so I'm okay with that as long as what we do today doesn't set in stone the density for the future.
So there's nothing on the table right now to consider as in a bylaw. This is just a report. So even when it goes to APC, they'll be reading the report and considering what the report contains. And then from that point, I will then draft the bylaw and introduce it to council, which council then can discuss and provide direction to staff to change it in whatever regard the council vote on.
And we were very specific when we had the workshop that this was not about density. This was, that's something we can bring up in zoning. This was simply about the size, shape, about carriage houses, also about suites, how the two interacted. So it's a very, very focused discussion about just simply carriage, accessory suites and carriage houses and that. So if we just refer it over to the APC, it'll be great for them to have a discussion as well, but it's not about density at this point in time. And if we want to bring that on later on, that's certainly the purview of council. So any other questions, comments? This is just simply a referral to the APC, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, move on to the mayor's report. Couple of things I just wanted to bring up. As you've kind of heard through our delegation, I have some bad news and good news. The good news is the Village Hub is coming along amazingly. I was in there last week, and it is really coming together nicely. It's exceeding expectations. Unfortunately, they're waiting, or they received a part that's an electrical component that has to be then installed in the building. Then it has to be certified, and then all the systems have to be tested and made sure they're going. That part won't be put into the building till the 17th of November. And it just doesn't give us enough time without any hiccups to make sure that we have an occupancy permit for what we were proposing was our grand opening, which was December the 3rd. So with that, we're going to have to delay it. Then we have Christmas, we have people away. This is an important event. We want to make sure everybody is available to be there. So the opening now is scheduled for January the 7th. So that will be, it'll be after Christmas. With that, I'm going to put forth to council that we cancel this year's Light Up Spirit Park. And the reason being is a couple things. We're down one member of our public works crew. There's an actual job posting out right now. Number two is they weren't able to get any machinery in and around Spirit Park because of the construction that's going on right now. And three, it's still going to be difficult to do a lot of that, putting the lights up around some of the trees that are close to the village hub because of the construction that's going on right now. So I think we should still maintain that money as an allocation for this year's budget for next year, because then we can use some of that money to actually buy some permanent fixtures, Christmas fixtures. As we talked about, possibly there's some, big industrial stars that can go on the side of the building to make it look like a real Christmassy building. But at this point, I think it's best that we just postpone the Light Up Spirit Park and the Christmas lights in the park at this point in time. Last week I attended the solid waste conference with my colleague who's on the solid waste committee, Councillor Weberink. And then it was very interesting talking about the creation of a recycling, a circular economy, and how that's really important, and how municipalities are really starting to focus on this. And just so you know, in Metro Vancouver, we have an incredible diversion rate. We're at about 66%, which is really, really amazing. And that does not include construction waste, which a lot of places do, which skews the numbers quite considerably. I don't know if you've been to the new what's it called over? No, the recycling center on United Boulevard, but it's really amazing, and they are so helpful. You pull up there and you put things in certain compartments. They're doing an amazing job. I walked around Halloween. We had an amazing Halloween this year. No incidents. I did walk up and down Ravenswood as my usual route, and it wasn't as busy as years in the past, and I was quite shocked at that because it was such an amazingly beautiful night. There were a lot of people out. I was a little troubled as well, though, that we had quite a few cars that were parked on Ravenswood. I guess that's because the parking wasn't available at the village hub. But it was concerning because they were all parked on the side along that S-curve, and it was pretty tough for the kids. Normally we block it off and we ask the RCMP to be there, and it's a real family event with kids running back and forth to the houses, the parents, in their wagons or whatever in the middle of the road, and it really, everybody just loves it. But I actually talked to a few of my neighbors, and they actually said the numbers were down considerably in that area of the village. I don't know about. Yeah, okay, you can talk about that. But anyway, and again, it was kind of sad, we didn't have the fireworks as we have in the past, but all those things to look forward to in the coming year. So this Saturday, a bunch of us will be at Belcarra for Remembrance Day at the pier. The Power Squadron does an amazing display. I've been there, I guess, it's been 10, 15 years we've been going there, and it's a really good, this year, unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be wet, and it's going to be cold. And I'll tell you, every year it's cold. This year it's going to be wet, though. They also, I think for $5 or $6 as a donation, they put on a really, really nice barbecue and chili and hot dog and that afterwards. So if you can make your way there, it's a really, really good event. We've already mentioned about the Committee of the Whole that we had 2 weeks ago. 2 days after that, we had a Saskatchewan Volunteer Fire Department meeting, and that was to movement forward with the 2 new fire halls that are needed to be done. To our surprise, Belcarra tried to defer the meeting. We were all set up, but luckily, with the vote of the chair, we moved forward with the meeting. And it's, this is an important project. These are our volunteers, and right now, they don't have a safe place to work. Both buildings don't meet WCB compliant, nor are they don't have turnout gear isolation as well. And so it's a big focus as trustees that we need to get these buildings. Chief Sharp has identified what is needed in both municipalities. So we've allocated, I think, about $500,000 to $600,000 is going to start going into the design. Metro Vancouver is going to be put forward or carrying this on, quarterbacking this. And then once we get the designs and procurement, we'll get some firm numbers, and then it's going to be a case that both villages are going to have to look at ways of funding this. The one hall that was as used as a role model was the one on Bowen Island, and it would be very similar to a facility that we could put here in Anmore, and they figure it's about $7.5 million. So there's going to be some costs in regard to our fire department that Belcarra and Anmore are going to be sharing equally, but there is no time to wait. We've known this for about 5 years, that these buildings are not seismically upgraded, and that's so that we're going to have to get going on it. And for the work that the volunteers do in our community, the buildings actually have a proposal of possibly having 3 suites on the top of them, which would even reduce some of the turnout time for people to get in these emergencies, which at this point in time, every minute helps. So, and that would be three residences above the one in Anmore and 3 residences of the one in Belcarra, because especially in Belcarra, they're having a tough time getting accommodation for the volunteers. So that's going to be a big project that we're going to have to focus on right after we get through the hub, which we should be well into that in February and March. So please stay tuned to that. We've also, Ms. Elrick is now making sure that the minutes, which are attached to this agenda for the Saskatchewan Volunteer Fire Department, please come out to meetings. They're public meetings. Great to have as many people out to them. So they're normally held a few times a year, and like I said, we are going to make sure that they're all registered in that. So that's it. I'll move on to the councillors.
Just quick to follow up. I look for them, and I haven't seen notices of the meeting, so I didn't even know where they were happening, and I actually look for them. So if I'm looking...
Yeah, there was, Ms. Elrick will talk to that, yeah.
Yeah, through the chair, there has been some staffing changes at Metro. The agendas and minutes are actually produced by Metro Vancouver staff, and through that staffing change, we haven't been receiving the updates, and we've recently been in communication with Metro staff on making sure that we are, in addition to the trustee members, that staff is getting copies of the agenda and letting us know where that either Metro is posting them, or we can also make sure that the community is aware and that we put them in our calendar. So apologies that sort of got let go, but we're getting that back into effect.
Good. Councillor Weber, did you?
Just to probably talk about a lot of the same things. So Halloween and Birchwind was, I think all the people from Ravenswood went to Birchwind. My wife bought 440 candies, not including the ones I ate. We're probably, I guess, between 200 and 250 kids. So it was quite a turnout. There was times when there was 20 kids at the door. It was unbelievable. So it was a big success. As Mayor McEwen said, I attended the Zero Waste Conference. Got into big conversations about waste concrete. It's a big problem, but we're trying to do better. The construction industry is trying to do better. It was really nice to see a lot of people from the construction industry there, and a lot of producers of products, so the whole idea of the circular economy is you take something out of the ground and you keep using it forever and ever and ever. And that's sort of the goal. And it's funny that day I had a procedure at Burnaby Hospital. I had to run over there, and I come in for my procedure, and they go, "Oh, you're kind of dressed up. Where are you? Are you taking the day off?" I said, "No, I got to go back to the Zero Waste Conference." So we got into a big discussion about hospital waste. And I can assure you, hospitals waste a lot. So it's interesting to see how many people are passionate about it, keeping all this out of our landfills. I certainly am. So that was a great conference. I also attended the Haven, which is the Home Builders Association of Vancouver Municipal Dinner. Listened to Councillor Creer was there. We listened to Ken Sim talk about development challenges in the Lower Mainland. And I thought it was interesting. Somebody asked him, Mayor Sim, how many housing units has Vancouver built? Since you've started. And his answer was none. We don't build housing units. And he talked about a municipality's role in the whole housing crisis, that, you know, if we want to get serious about this, we don't stand in the way. We expedite applications and that sort of thing. And he says that was more Vancouver's role. And he says it's a big machine to change, but he was very committed to streamlining all that to get more homes built. We will be attending, I will be attending the Remembrance Day ceremony in Belcarra. I always enjoy that. As Mayor McEwen said, I walked through the Village Hub too, and being in the construction and engineering business, I have to say, for what we're paying, I was very impressed. It's a quality build. And it's funny because when a lot of construction sites you go on, you see a lot of young people because so many older people are getting out of the trades. It was an older crowd working in that building. And the workmanship showed, you know, the ducts were straight, the pipes were straight. It just looks like there's somebody cares. I was really impressed. It's simple, you know, it's not a fancy building. There's no fancy wood beams or anything. It's very practical and sensible, but it's going to be a really nice place for staff to work, which, you know, is a big part of this. You want to have a well-run village, you got to have good staff. We want to keep these people, want to keep them happy. So I'm very proud of it. You know, we've been putting a lot into this, Mayor McEwen. You know, this has been going on a long time, and I'm really happy to see that it's going to be open. And yeah, just echoing what Mayor McEwen said about the fire trustees meeting, we are very committed to getting our firefighters the facility that they need. I think probably my only concern is Metro does not have a great reputation of bringing things under budget. And they were already talking about contingencies, and we were like, what, 30-40% contingencies? Come on, we're gonna have to reel that in a little bit. So I think we're gonna have to teach them a bit about how to bring a building under budget. So it's my only concern, because I think we can build it a lot cheaper than what they're saying. And that's it.
Unfortunately, with them administering, they're going to want certain standards, and I can tell you that some of the big projects have gone over considerably, but a lot of the smaller projects, and a smaller project to Metro Vancouver is in the 100, 200, 300 million, have actually come in quite well. Yeah, we've got some really good results. So, Councillor Cryer.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of repeats. As Councillor Wevering said, I went to the Haven dinner. That was very good, very interesting. The conversation of housing was the big topic. Also attended the tour of the hub, which was very enlightening, very pleased with everything staff has been doing. Looking forward to that. We contributed more than our share of the Scouts bottle drive, which I appreciate them coming out. We also all attended, and I don't believe anyone's mentioned it, the joint council CAO meeting with the other 4 municipalities that was hosted at the city of Coquitlam. It was very good, opportunity to share what's going on in all of our municipalities and actually have a nice social time with mayor and council and CAOs. And just for the record, we had 0 trick-or-treaters on Leggett, so they didn't come to our house. That's it.
You would have recognized me.
Yeah, I think so.
Richardson, nothing. Okay. Okay, CAO. Oh, Councillor Trowbridge, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I attended the Tri-Cities Council, the trustees, and the hub tour, but I had nothing more to say than I was there and enjoyed it, but everyone's already spoken to it, so I won't make it tedious.
Thank you. I'll move on to Ms. Elrick, CAO report.
Thank you. So just a reminder to everybody that utility bills are due November 30th. They were mailed out last week, so take a look in your mailbox if you haven't already. And contact Village Hall if you have any questions regarding that. Also, our photo contest is out for voting right now. We received over 90 entries, so you can vote for your favorites in several different categories, either by going onto the Village Facebook page or coming into the Village Hall. We have all the photos posted in the Village Hall, and you can vote there as well, so please do that. That's open until November 15th. And this week and last week, we have had the Tri-City Bear Aware Group volunteers going throughout the village to areas that have been identified by conservation as higher activity areas, just sort of giving some education to our residents about being bear aware, as it's a very busy time of year for the bears. And lastly, a little bit further to the Village Hall update. As Mayor McEwen noted, we will be now holding the grand opening in the new year. However, we do still expect the building to be turned over to the village end of November, beginning of December. So staff will be working prior to the Christmas break on moving over from the trailers and getting all set up over at the new hall. So we're ready to go in the new year. So there may be some adjustments to staffing at that time. We might just have a couple folks staying back at the trailers while we're moving over and vice versa. But if there are any sort of closures or interruptions, particularly to our phone system and things like that, as we transfer over our computer server as well, we'll make sure that we keep everybody updated. But we are very excited to be getting into our new building soon.
Good. Thank you. Move on, we've got some information items. There's the draft minutes of the Committee of the Whole, General Correspondence, Metro Vancouver, the assessment volunteer, the minutes of the meeting from the Volunteer Fire Department, and a few letters there. Now move on to public question period. Anything? Please, go ahead.
It's blue, so is it on? It's a blue light. Oh, it is on, okay. My questions to the chair and to the mayor are a follow-up on the clear cut of Ravenswood Forest. Question number 1, if the present area were left alone for regrowth and untouched by humankind, do you know how long it would take to replace those trees along with the lost genetic library to something of its original form?
No.
Upwards of 1,000 years. 2, I also want to ask the mayor if he's willing to modify his statement that clear cutting was all about, quote, safety, and presumably only about safety. In other words, was cost a factor in the decision? Was it cheaper to clear cut than to remove dying trees selectively? And did the village get money for any of the good timber?
I have nothing to add to my comments.
Okay. Finally, I'd like some clarification on the mayor's statement that, quote, staff somehow authorized the clear cutting. First, did the CAO recommend this decision to the mayor? And secondly, did the mayor consent to this? Yes or no, please?
I've already answered it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, public question period? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone.